Welcome to the HESI A2 Test Prep Online Lesson Series. In this session, we'll go over the math section of the HESI test. We'll go over 12 math questions for your HESI A2 Test Prep. Before we start, make sure you have a pencil and paper ready so you can take notes and follow along through the problems. Then download the Test Prep app from the App Store or Google Play. It has homework and practice tests to support this lesson. The app also has a prediction test, so you know exactly when you're ready to take the real test. Let's get started. The profits of $26,000 are to be divided among 3 people in the ratio 3 to 4 to 6. How much bigger is the largest share compared to the smallest share? So interestingly, we actually don't even need this number. We only care about the ratio. The total number of shares is going to be 3 plus 4 plus 6, which equals 13. Now, if we want to know what each of these is going to be, out of the total, we can do 3 over 13, 4 over 13, and 6 over 13. The smallest share is going to be 3 over 13. The biggest share is going to be 6 over 13. And so the largest share is twice the smallest share, right? 3 out of 13 versus 6 out of 13. Question 2, a pound of roast should cook for 20 minutes. How long would 5 pounds of roast take to cook? We'll set this ratio up using pounds over minutes. A pound of roast means 1 pound. We had pounds on the top here, so the top of both of our fractions is going to be pounds, and the bottom of both of our fractions is going to be minutes. So the number of minutes that goes with 1 pound of roast is 20. That's going to equal a second fraction. Again, we're going to put pounds on top, which is 5. And the number of minutes is the unknown, so we'll put that as m. Let's cross multiply. We get 1m equals 20 times 5. 1m is just m, and 20 times 5 is 100 minutes. 100 minutes is equal to 1 hour and 40 minutes. Question 3, a student buys a science textbook for $18, a math textbook for $14.50, and a dictionary for $9.95. What is the total cost of the books? Simple addition here. We just need to make sure we line up all of our decimals. We'll start with $18. And we have $14.50. Finally, we have $9.95. So notice my decimals are lined up, and all of my place values are lined up as well. Add these together. Starting from the right, 0 plus 0 is 5. 5 plus 9 is 14. Carry the 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 plus 4 is 13. 13 plus 9 is 22. Carry the 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. And our decimal just drops straight down. Final answer is 42.45. Question 4. Deborah works an 8-hour shift on Friday. How many minutes does she work on Friday? So we're starting with 8 hours. And we want to multiply this by the ratio of minutes to hours. We know we're going to want hours on the bottom so that it cancels with the hours on the left. How many minutes are in 60 or in 1 hour? 60 minutes. And you can see because we have hours in the denominator, they're going to cancel with the hours attached to our 8. This is going to leave us with 8 times 60, which we can do by 8 times 6, which is 48, add a 0, and then we're left with minutes. Question 5. A half pint of ice cream is what part of a gallon? We know that there are 8 pints in 1 gallon, which means that a pint is 1/8 of a gallon. If we want a half of a pint, we need to divide that 1/8 by 2. Remember, if we're dividing fractions, and 2 is really a fraction, if we put it over 1, we keep the first fraction, so 1/8. We change the division to multiplication, and we flip the second fraction so that 2/1 becomes 1/2. Fraction multiplication, super easy, just go from left to right. 1 times 1 is 1, 8 times 2 is 16. So a half pint of ice cream is 1/16 of a gallon. Question 6. If an object travels at 2 feet per second, how many feet does it travel in 3 hours? So we have our ratio, feet per second. If we want to turn that into feet per minute, we're going to multiply by seconds over minutes. That way the seconds cancel out. There are 60 seconds in a minute. 2 times 60 is 120, and that's going to leave us with feet per minute. I'll do that again, except we're going to turn minutes into hours. So we're starting with 120 feet per minute. We want to cancel out minutes. That's going to go in the numerator. Hours will go in the denominator, and we know there are 60 minutes an hour. Those cancel out. 12 times 6 is 72. Add the zeros, right? Instead of 12 and 6, it was 120 and 60. So that's going to be 2 zeros. Minutes canceled out, so in the numerator we have feet, and in the denominator we have hours. We now have 7,200 feet per hour. If we want to know how many feet we traveled in 3 hours, we're going to multiply that rate by 3. So 3 hours. Cancel out. 7,200 times 3. 0 times 3 is 0. 0 times 3 is 0. 2 times 3 is 6. And 7 times 3 is 21. So our answer is 21,600. Hours canceled out, so we're left with feet. Question 7, find the arithmetic mean of 4.5 and 9. To do that, we're going to add 4.5 and 9. 4 plus 9 is 13. Add the 0.5, and then we're going to divide 13.5 by 2. 13.5 goes in the box, 2 goes outside the box, 2 goes into 1 0 times, 2 goes into 13 6 times, 2 times 6 is 12, subtract, we have 1, bring down the 5, 2 goes into 15 7 times, which is 14. 15 minus 14 is 1, add a 0 here and drop it down. 2 goes into 10 5 times, which is 10, and there's no remainder there. 10 minus 10 is 0. The decimal is going to go right here. Our answer is 6.75. Question 8, 25% of what number is equal to 5? We're going to start by turning that 25% into a decimal. We'll do that by moving this invisible decimal, which is to the right of the 5, 2 places to the left. So 25% becomes 0.25. Now we're going to turn this word problem into an equation. 0.25 of means multiplication. What number, so we'll call that n, we don't know it yet, is equal to 5. Okay, we could multiply both sides by 4, or we could divide by 0.25. In this case, I think it'd be easier to multiply by 4. I multiplied by 4 because 4 times 0.25 is 1. So those cancel out. We're left with n equals 5 times 4, which is 20. Question 9. Sean purchased a shirt for $22.05. If the sales tax was 5%, what was the actual price of the shirt? So let's find out how much he paid in tax. We would do 22.05 times 0.05. And I'm going to ignore the decimal place and also the zeros to the left of the 5. So we can do this as 22.05 times 5. So the reason I'm not ignoring this 0 is because it's between two numbers, 2 and 5. The reason I can ignore these two zeros are because there's no number to the left of them. The only number that matters here is this 5. All right, 5 times 5 is 25, carry the 2. 0 times 5 is 0, plus 2 is 2. 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. Okay, now we're going to account for all of these zeros that we ignored. We have 1, 2 numbers to the left, or sorry, to the right of the decimal in 22.05, and we have 1, 2 numbers to the right of the decimal in 0.05. So we have a total of 4 numbers to the right of the decimal. And to account for that, we're going to move the decimal in our answer 4 places to the left. So I do that and I get $1.1025. That's what we paid in tax. So to find out how much we paid in total, we're going to add that to the sale price of the shirt. 22.05 plus 1.1025. Notice that I lined up my decimals. There's nothing above this 5, so it drops down. Nothing above this 2, so it drops down. 5 plus 0 is 5. 0 plus 1 is 1. We have our decimal. 2 plus 1 is 3, and nothing below the 2, so we drop that down. Because we're talking about dollars here, these last two digits don't matter, right? Because this 5 is going to be our cents, and then that 25 is less than a part of a cent, so we don't account for that. Final answer is $23.15. Question 10, 2 to the x is 16, then 3 to the x is what? So let's start out by looking at 2 to the x equals 16 and find out what x is. Okay, so 2 squared would equal 4. 2 to the third would equal 2 times 2 times 2, which equals 8. And 2 to the fourth would equal 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. This is 4, and this is 4. 4 times 4 is 16, right? So this matches 2 to the x equals 16, therefore x equals 4. Okay, now we can do the second part. 3 to the 4, which equals 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. And we know that 9 times 9 is 81. Question 11, how many quart cans can be filled from a 25-gallon bucket of paint? So let's set up a ratio between quarts and gallons. We know that 4 quarts equals 1 gallon, right? Quarts on the top, gallons on the bottom. So if we have a 25-gallon bucket of paint, how many quarts do we have? I put the 25 on the bottom because following through with our ratio, we have gallons on the bottom, and then I put Q on the top because we don't know how many quarts we have. So that's our unknown. We're going to cross multiply. 4 times 25 equals 1 times Q. 4 times 25 equals 100. 1 Q is just Q, so the answer is 100 quarts. Question 12, if a crew of 4 people can paint the barn in 3 days, how long will it take a crew of 2 people? Let's look at the first part. If it takes 4 people 3 days, then it must take 1 person 12 days, right? Because we have 1 person doing 4 times as much work. 4 times 3 is 12. If it takes 1 person 12 days, then it will take 2 people half that time, right? It'll take 2 people 6 days. Don't forget to download the HESI Test Prep app from the App Store or Google Play, where you'll find homework and a practice test for this lesson. Make sure you score at least 80% on the practice test before moving on to the next lesson. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.